much, Didier, for that wonderful introduction. I didn't really understand a word of it, but I'll ask him to translate for me later. Anyway, hi everybody. Before I begin, I just want to say a really big thank you to the forum and to Arnett Ventura, who is somewhere here, for inviting me all the way from Singapore. It's a really great privilege for me to be here and to be able to share with all of you about something that's very close to my heart, which is using the media for, there we go, social change. I've been in the media industry for about 13 years now, and most of my projects, or what I'm trying to do is trying to gear towards this topic. But let me start you off with this, which is he didn't want to take me out because I was fat. But now that I've lost the weight, he is okay to be seen with me again. Somebody actually said this to me in 2011 on a show that I was hosting. But before we come back to that, I just want you to keep that in the top of your mind. Before we come back to that, I just want to take you through a little bit of my life and what I've been doing. So I've been born and bred in Singapore. I studied in Singapore. I became Miss Singapore Universe in 2000. And I started work with a lot of at-risk youth at that time. And in 2002, I started hosting Wheel of Fortune. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with that show. And in 2005, I became a nominated member of Parliament in Singapore and continued to host other TV shows as well. And all my time in the media industry and all my time in the past 13 years, I realized that it was so amazing for me to be able to use the media as a platform to be able to talk about all the causes that I was very passionate about. And I realized we had to use the media to create change. Now, after 2009, after I finished my 4.5 years as a nominated member of Parliament, I wanted to continue being in this industry, but I was asking myself, how is it that I can go beyond that to be able to create change or to be able to create something of value? And this is how this quote will come back into context again. So in 2011, I was hosting a show, and this lady on the show said this to me. And when she said this to me, I was actually very, very taken aback. I didn't know how to respond to her. I was feeling slightly angry, slightly upset with her husband for saying that to her and for her to believe that that's what it is. But I felt that I wasn't qualified to comment because I'm single, I don't have children, I don't understand why people sometimes stay in certain relationships. And so I thought, you know, how many other women out there are feeling the same way? How many other women out there feel trapped? Or how many women out there don't know that there is help out there, that it's okay to talk about certain issues? So I thought, if we can bring women together to unite them and to get them onto a platform for them to be able to talk about things that are sometimes uncomfortable to talk about this. And that's how Women Talk was born. WomenTalkTV.Asia is actually a portal and where we feature ordinary women just doing extraordinary things. So it's a portal to feature these inspiring stories for women to look at other women just like us and say, you know, she's doing something with her life and she's making a difference to the community and maybe I can do something as well. And that's how it came about. And the whole idea of Women Talk is about empowerment. And on top of that, we wanted also other women out there who are in certain predicaments to say, you know, I'm not alone. And there are other women out there, and I can get help. And so this is how the portal came about. I'll tell you a little bit more about what the portal does in a bit. But over the past 1.5 years, I've had the privilege to just interview all these women around Asia with amazing stories. And it's not always easy for them to tell their stories on TV in front of a camera and to confront certain issues that make us uncomfortable. So it's really been a privilege for me, and I think today it will not do any justice if I don't show you one of the amazing stories that I've come to know. So everybody, this is a lady who's really inspired me. Her name is Haslina Jacob, and I almost gave up on Women Talk because it's a self-funded project up to this point. We're a social enterprise and we monetize through digital advertising as well as working with sponsors. But Haslina said one thing to me and she said, Eunice, you tell the stories, and that's what has kept me going to this point. So here is Haslina Jacob.
What is beauty? What is courage? What gives one strength to inspire? Let's talk Women Talk. Haslina Jacob, a rape victim at the tender age of 18, didn't allow her perpetrator to dictate her destiny. Instead, she chose to rise above and 20 years later went public with her story. Now, she's a women's activist and the president of the Women for Equality Association, a shelter she founded about 2 years ago to help victims of rape and domestic violence in Malaysia.
Now, Haslina, I imagine what you've experienced to be, an extremely traumatic one, and I'm just entirely fascinated by the courage and strength that you have. So, what made you say, no, I'm going to do something about this?
My perpetrator was never caught because I didn't make any police report. But at that particular time, those were the circumstances. My son being molested at 6, my daughter also being molested at 5. So, what the heck is this? Why am I allowing all these people to get away? So, this is my way to get my revenge back. The least I can do is protect my residents, the people that we shelter. Yeah.
What does this shelter do?
We speak to them, console them. Normally they would go into shock. They would not have believed that, like, say, if their own acquaintances, why did they do this to me? It must have been me. I'm the one who's caused this problem. And it takes months for them to get over it, actually. Yeah. Unless we speak to them that it's not their fault, It's never their fault, okay? And those are the criminals, not you.
What advice would you give to women who have been raped?
Make sure you don't wash yourself up because you will destroy the evidence, the forensic evidence. So go straight to the police station or go straight to the hospital. Your life are not destroyed, You can be whatever that you want to be and you are never to be blamed. It's the message that we always impart onto our survivors.
What happens to the children of the women who come to the shelter?
We try to make them as comfortable as possible. They do, of course, get upset that they have to go into a new environment. We try, to make it as homely as possible.
What are some of the challenges that you face?
The safety of our social workers, because we do get threats from the perpetrators. What about their accommodation and housing? Rental are now so high, and most of these women are unemployed. What do we do?
Why do you still want to continue this?
Where else would they go to? There's so many of them out there, and there's so few that we can accommodate. And I think that's very sad. Very sad. Yeah.
Where do you draw your strength from?
There are times when I actually wish I'm not doing this, that I'm doing something fun, but it's not as fulfilling as what I'm doing now. Yes.
What is some of the stigma that these women face, as rape victims?
Seriously, whenever I look at them, my heart breaks. Sometimes it's not the rape itself that hurts the women. The physical hurt only is at that particular time. But when you don't get any support from even your own family who dismissed you, because they didn't want to bring shame to the family, that's what is the lifelong hurt that you carry. And that messes your mind, affects you for a long, long time.
So what is your message to these people out there who says no to abortions and who are pro-life when it comes to this situation?
Is it your body? Are you the one who's going to be affected by her pregnancy? Are you the one who's going to take care of the baby? Are you the one who's going to give her back her self-esteem, her self-worth? Are you the one? Right? That is her choice. Let her decide what she wants to do with her body.
What do you hope will change, that will give these people that dignity in life?
Be supportive. If your child comes to you and say she has been molested by uncle, believe her and do something about it. Otherwise, for the rest of her life, she will never find closure.
Now, you did mention that men play a very important part in women's issues.
Definitely, definitely. Because what happens if it's yours, your wife, or your mother, or your sisters that have been raped? Are you going to keep quiet and just let the perpetrator just walk away? do something.
What do you want to tell people out there, you know, whether you're talking to perpetrators or you're talking to, you know, the women and all that, what do you want to tell them?
Let's talk about perpetrator. Do remember, you are never getting away from this. Yeah? Karma will at least get you if the law cannot. Remember that. Yeah. For the good men, please, we need your help. Support us. Love us.
What is empowerment to you?
Empowerment is when a woman is able to stand up, speak up without being censured. She's an empowered woman.
Thank you, Haslina. Really, really admire what you do, because the work is obviously not easy, but you keep going. And I think a lot of people out there, you know, should do the same.
Okay, thank you.
By helping other women with their trauma, Haslina has shown us that it is possible to overcome such adversity, not to remain a victim, but emerge the victor.
Thank you. Well, she's amazing. Thank you. And so, you know, if you look at the interviews that we do, they're very open and very honest conversations. And another thing is, I always tell the women that it's not just what I want to ask you, but what you want to say. So it's very much their platform as well. And then we thought, well, you know, we're featuring all these women, but what about our audience? How do we further engage the audience? So there are two other very important attributes of the portal, which is to connect and to contribute. Let's talk about connect. Basically, every woman that has an interview has a page on the portal that is there forever. And they can always tell us if they want to update whatever they're doing now, and they have their information so that our audience can connect directly with them as well. So whether it's their Facebook or their organizational details. And also, we have a donate function, which means that, because it's the easiest way for people to get involved. So people can just donate to their cause. If you're touched by the video, you can donate to the cause, and Women Talk doesn't earn any money from that. And then we thought, well, okay, we have that, but how do we further get people to contribute to the portal as well? And if you see from the video, we ask all our women what empowerment means to them, because it's a very broad term, and how I define empowerment could be very different from how you define empowerment. So we asked all the women to define that for us. So we kind of built like a mini YouTube for women, where we want Women Talk to be like the collection point for just amazing and inspiring stories of women. And so we ask people to upload their own videos about what empowerment means to them, to do an interview with another woman who inspires you, or just film a video of yourself telling us your story. And so that's how we've tried to kind of engage our audience further. This whole idea about leveraging the press, when we launched Women Talk, we were very, very encouraged, because we had a lot of online media and a lot of traditional press to come and cover stories on the portal. Also, because Women Talk is online, we leverage a lot on social media as well. And we've had many different posts on other sites as well that have allowed us to kind of spread our message even further. So we've got a few here from the Singapore Committee for UN Women, as well as some other posts as well from our friends from the press. We've also been very fortunate to have great partners like Blinks.com, which is an internet video search engine, as well as Yahoo Singapore, who carries all our Singapore stories, and you know, kind of helping us to spread the message of empowerment. I don't have any statistics today to show you about the impact that we've had, or what kind of change that we've tried to create in the world. But I think, like one of our women told me, she said, you know, Eunice, sometimes you don't see the bigger picture. And I think in this case, it's the same thing. It's when I hear things like, you know, you tell the stories, or when somebody comes up to me and says, something in the video really touched me, or, you know, when our women say, you know, I really like what you're doing. I mean, it's just little words of encouragement to tell us here at Women Talk that we are really kind of going in the right direction. And I've always believed also that if every one of us do something, it's always the little things that we do together that make the bigger difference. So I'm going to wrap up my presentation now, but just before I go, I just want to leave this thought in your mind. We see a lot of women out there now pushing for women's empowerment and for women's issues, but I think it's about time that the conversation brings the men in as well. It's like what Haslina said, we need the men out there, the good men out there, to help us and support us. So I just want to leave that in your mind, and thank you all once again for listening to me. I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you.